Like, Jordan, you're worried about being emasculated when the most emasculating thing is the fact that you degraded and denigrated this woman to the point where she sought refuge in Marciano's ever loving arms. Be so for real right now. Yuck. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Radio Free Kylie. I'm your host, Kylie Smith, and I am so happy to have y'all here with me today. But we have to talk about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Before we get into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are not already subscribing to me, you can also find me across all socials at Lit Black Girl. We are running a little bit of a growth challenge across my socials. Do me a favor, head over there, hit follow if you don't already follow me on Instagram or TikTok, and come back here and let's get into it. Okay. This season was exhausting. Like, that today drained me. It was exhausting for so many reasons, but I think like at the top of it for me was the fact that there was so much trauma and abuse at the center of the season. And it's not that I think that reality television has to be light and fluff all the time, because I think that we should actually talk about serious things and like show serious aspects of people's lives. But at the same time, it was really difficult for me to watch these women be like so like tied up and tangled up in these cycles of abuse and be almost there to like getting it and leaving or escaping or changing something and not quite making it. And that's really tough for me to watch. I think one of the things that we cannot oversimplify is the fact that high control religious environments, cults like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Mormonism, the culture, the religion, the environment creates a perfect setup for women to be taken advantage of, women to be harmed, women to be abused, women to be traumatized. And I think that there is no better example of that than Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, because you see it in literally every single one of these women. Every single one of them has 2 kids before their frontal lobe was developed. Every single one. And there's nothing wrong with young motherhood, to be clear. But I think that doing it in the environment that has basically socialized you to be the subservient, perfect wife and mother, while socializing your husband that he is the priest, he holds the priesthood for your family. You can't get to heaven or your planet without him. He is everything and you are nothing without him. I think that's a major setup. What we have seen between season 1 and season 3 is many of the women, I'm talking specifically about Jen and Jesse even, and Michaela as well, like start to like wake up to that. I think Taylor Frankie Paul, yes, she has, and Taylor's grown a lot and she's done a lot of work, and I think that's really great to see. But I also see her really still deeply traumatized, really still like caught up in the ways in which she was socialized to perceive herself as the ultimate, as a person that has the most blame in situations. And I think that made her really susceptible to Jordan's BS this season. And I hated to see that. That was really disappointing to me, because let's just stop centering men in general. I think it's important to name for me that I'm biased as hell. I lived in Utah from 2017 to 2019, and it was the worst 2 years of my life. And I lived there during what, for me at least, felt like the sort of like boom of the momfluencer. And you know, they have hella kids in Utah, so there were a lot of them. And I also nannied in Mormon households for a year, a little over a year. And that was a deeply traumatizing experience. um Mormonism itself is racist. Period, full stop. I don't, fight me. The religion is predicated on the belief that darker skinned people are that way because we were cursed. And black people could not hold the priesthood until, I don't know, like 1970, 80. And if you watch this season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, you see Layla sort of talking about her coming to understand the sort of inherent racism inside of the religious order, and that like they didn't disavow those teachings until like 10 years ago, which is crazy, to say the least. So anyway, I'm very biased, and I'm gonna just name that transparently. And this is my page, and so I don't have to be neutral. I'm not a journalist. The first half of the season especially really centered on Jesse and Jordan. And let me just say that I think it's despicable that Hulu allowed for Jordan to abuse Jesse on camera. Okay? On camera. Episode 4, on camera. I think that's disgusting. And it also is terrifying to consider that this is what he does when he's on camera. Imagine when he's not. And Jesse has an interview with Nick Viall that I've been, oh my God, struggling to watch because I hate that man. But she talks in a little bit more detail about the way that he treated her when the cameras weren't on. And it's, what we saw was literally just the tip of the iceberg. And so I think that it just was really like that moment in time, and the conversation that they had, and watching her like literally check out of the conversation. Oh, that was so hard to watch. Jessie has since clarified that the reason that she told Layla that she and Jordan were separated at the time of the kiss was because Jordan wanted her to, so that it would be less emasculating for him. To be clear, Jesse and Marciano could have robbed the Louvre together, and I would not care in the face of his abuse. Don't care. Like, Jordan, you're worried about being emasculated when the most emasculating thing is the fact that you degraded and denigrated this woman to the point where she sought refuge in Marciano's ever-loving arms. Be so for real right now. Yuck. 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 Ew. You're pitiful and pathetic. You disgust me. You peon of a man. And the fact that they did their 90-day trial separation, I think that's great. I wish it had been permanent. But this barbecue, like, the thing is, for me, like, if at some point, like, you were like, oh, I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't know how because they showed you. But 2, if you didn't believe it, the moment where Jordan said that he was hosting a barbecue at Jesse's house that she pays for with her friends and she couldn't come, is when it should have clicked, gelled for you, the hold that he has over her and the kind of control that he exerts. It was also so clear the entire season that he was working overtime to try and like spin this, oh, woe is me narrative. This, oh, like, oh no, she cheated on me and that was wrong. That was wrong. Okay, yeah, cheating is not right. Cheating is wrong. However, abuse is worse. Period. I don't care. But Layla ate that one thing when she said, Jordan, did you pay Jesse an hourly rate to be here? Period. Period, Pooh. Yeah, let him know. Let him know. You clocked in for that, sister. Because Taylor certainly didn't in that situation. Do I think it was bananas to invite Marciano to dinner? Yeah. I also don't care. Yeah, I really hate that they're back together. And per press that has dropped this week, it seems like they are still quote unquote together and working on things. And I just personally don't know if I believe that like couples therapy is a solution to abuse. I don't. Because Jesse's in her press talking about, oh, I have PTSD from leaving the refrigerator open for too long. If I left the refrigerator open for too long, Jordan would scream at me. And I don't know how. I personally could not get past that. I no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The trust is completely gone. And I am sort of like, it feels dangerous to me to be like, we can therapize our way out of you being a piece of shit. We can just therapize our way out of that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I want the best for Jessie, and I want for her not to be abused. And I do not want her to have to be in proximity to her abuser in order to heal from said abuse. You see what I'm saying? Now, I also, if like we're talking about the abuse and the trauma of the season, we have to talk about Michaela and Jace, because I did not know watching season 1 and 2 that Michaela was 16 when they got pregnant and Jace was 20, 21. They got married weeks before her 18th birthday, which I find interesting given the fact that you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get married before 18, even in Utah, which brings me to my point, which is that the age of consent in Utah is 18. Yes, I know about the Romeo and Juliet exemption, which can be used as a defense against stat rape. So if you're basing your actions on what is defensible, like how you can plead your case, okay, get the fuck away from me. Stay far, far, far away from me if that's how you live your life. In my opinion, he absolutely is a part of her trauma, of he groomed her. And the sort of like crux of the like friction in their relationship centers around sex and intimacy, and the fact that as Michaela has accessed therapy and started to like work through her childhood sexual abuse, she has like started to feel like more she's never, according to her, enjoyed sex, which is heartbreaking because she's pregnant with her 4th kid on this season. She's never enjoyed sex. And so she's feeling less emotionally available and less interested in intimacy, while Jace himself is like applying this pressure implicitly and explicitly because sex is something that like is a deal breaker for him. And I posted this on my threads and I was like, Jace is struggling because something that he used to have ready and easy access to, something that he used to be able to get from Michaela whenever he wanted, he no longer has because she was a child then. She was a child. Like, Michaela just turned 25. Frontal lobe just started settling in. She was a child. And so it's not surprising to me that as she started to work through her trauma, as she's allowed more memories, emotions, experiences to come up and to examine them, she might start to be consciously and subconsciously looking at you a little like, okay, yeah, we lived in a culture that said that I was pregnant, so I had to marry you. But also, I was 16. And I know that there's like a story out there that says she lied to him and told him she was 18 when they met. I don't care. I really don't care, because it's one thing to get pregnant. Okay? It's another thing to lock someone into marriage with you. And especially in the culture that they live in, especially in Mormon culture. Like, I can't imagine the amount of pressure that Michaela felt to marry him in order to, like, maintain her dignity, which is horrific. Again, to my initial point, it's a setup for women. The only way to be taken seriously, to be respected, to be saved is through a man. Yuck. In season 2, I was incredibly proud of Michaela beginning to open up and to see more about her story, her and Macy, actually. But to be able to, like, learn more about, like, who these women are and, like, what they've gone through, and to sort of gain a more sort of empathetic perspective on them, for me personally at least. And at the same time, as this continues, I really desperately hope and pray that Michaela, like, I just, like, can't imagine how difficult it is to sort of begin to wrap your head around that. And that there is this really deep trauma, this deep wound that is at the core of your relationship with your husband. And again, Jace, why the hell do you think she's struggling with intimacy, bro? Like, are you dumb? Do you hear yourself? Go read a book, bro. You're acting like a bored child because your wife isn't entertaining you enough, and so you're pestering her to, like, placate you and entertain you instead of, like, I don't know, picking up a book, going to change a diaper, go rake some leaves, go on a walk, learn to whittle. I don't know, build a house, bro. Obviously, the Jesse and Demi feud permeates throughout the whole thing. And Demi, well, first of all, you could never make me like you. Ever. I think that in regards to her essay allegations of Marciano, my value system is to believe women. Period. I am also uncomfortable. And I'm sitting with that. Because my comfort actually isn't necessary. I don't have to be comfortable with it to be true. And actually, at the end of the day, it is neither here nor, like, obviously, if she was assaulted, no, not. And it's also like, Marciano, give me another reason. Yuck. Okay. But I don't actually need to know what did or didn't happen between the two of them for Demi to still suck. You know? So there's plenty of other reasons. And I think that there's just a lot there. And the only people that know what happened are the two of them. I hope she seeks help. Because both she and Whitney are the most diabolically delusional people that I have ever seen. I will also never respect Whitney. It's not about the fact that she came back just to be able to audition for Dancing with the Stars. I actually don't care about that. It's the fact that Whitney is a sniveling snake that never stands on business. She loves to talk slick in a confessional, and then she pulls up to the group filming and she cries and walks away. And, like, that's so pitiful to me. At least Demi is committed to the bit of being a villain. You know? Like, at least Demi is, like, scorched earth on you hoes. Whitney's, like, in her core, she's not built for it. At her core, she's not built for it. She actually really wants to be liked. She actually really wants these women to love her. And also, if she could have it her way, she honestly probably would like to be back at the top of the pyramid and not Taylor Frankie Paul. if she could have her druthers. And I stand on that. I know she got voted off of Dancing with the Stars, and I don't feel bad for her. I don't watch the show, and I don't feel bad for her. So, boo-hoo. You'll be okay. It's also fascinating to me that Connor is perhaps the person with the most emotional intelligence and sense on the show. Connor. And even Connor can't make me like Whitney. Like, Connor, if you were like, he's the only dad that I'm like, you might have something semi-intelligent to say. The rest of dad talk, first of all, dad talk is a grift, a shameless grift. It is a space for these men to get together and talk and complain about the fact that their wives are more successful than them. They completely jacked the grift from these women. The entire context, construct, everything that they do, they learned from a woman. And the absolute misogyny of Zach fixing his mouth to say, Mom talk to really learn some things from Dad talk. Learn what? 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 What exactly? What exactly do you know that they haven't taught you themselves? At the core of this season, in regards to the men, is the fact that like men do not know each other. Like they don't have like genuine friendships that are predicated on actually like having interiority into each other's lives. Because for everybody, all of these men, these dads, to be rallying around Jordan, and I don't even remember Macy's husband's name. It's irrelevant to me. But he was like, oh. When Macy told him that he had been abusive towards Jesse, he was like, oh. So again, like Jordan is spinning this sob story, and none of the men are like, hold on, bro. Hold on there, Playboy. Pump the brakes there. Pump the brakes there, Playboy. None of the men are doing that. Instead, they're like, oh no, he's really struggling. He's having a really rough time, and blah, blah, blah. And he's feeling really emasculated. And as a man, do better. Men, do you ask each other serious questions? Do you actually challenge one another? Do you hold each other accountable? If you found out your homeboy was abusing his partner, what are you going to do? You're going to sit back and be like, oh, well, she cheated. Oh, well, they were going through a rough spot. Oh, well, there's trauma. Yuck. Which brings me to Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and Dakota. They're so trauma bound. I'm honestly over it. I do not care. I do not care. And I doubly did not care this season because I know that Taylor is the Bachelorette. So she's filming that right now. So obviously, she's not with Dakota. And Dakota's a whole weirdo, which then sends me back to my original point that these high control patriarchal institutions, religions, cults, organizations are set up for women, because Taylor cannot even have her own baby blessed because the father will not be there and he holds the priesthood. Dakota. Okay. And don't even get me started on Taylor's trifling ass stepdaddy. Yuck. Still, that scene from season 2, I will never get over that. That was one of the most horrific displays from her entire family, frankly, that I've ever seen in my life on camera. I love Jen. I will always have a soft spot for Jen. She's such a little cutie pie. I don't know what it is, but I have a soft spot for her. Zach can literally never speak again. Jen literally told him to not speak, and he still couldn't keep his mouth shut. I will not buy into any kind of Zach redemption arc. The edit did him favors this season, because the few things he did say, yuck. Overall, I enjoyed the sort of fourth wall breaking of the season. I thought like pulling the curtains back and letting us into the behind the scenes of like the press and the getting ready and all of those things was really interesting to see. I enjoyed that. I think that it would be a great aspect to have in future seasons. The sort of rub there though is that like it really lets us know like the timing of which things are being filmed. And because these women are active on socials, there are things that were happening then that people that are paying attention to them more than I am are clocking. And so there's sort of like always like a constant spoiler happening in a sense, if that makes, because, you know, maybe they're not speaking to the details of what happens in the season, but they are like beefing in real time, shading each other, posting things. Like, you know, there's like a lot of like reading in between the lines that can happen. I don't know. It's just something to think about. Also, I hate a pre-filmed reunion. I hate a pre-filmed reunion. I think the only thing that is doing this reunion any favors is the fact that Nick Viall isn't hosting it. Thank God. I don't know Stassi. I'm not familiar with her game. I don't watch Vanderpump. So, like, maybe she will be able to do what needs to be done. But, like, there's just so much. And I feel like the reunion is going to be very surface. I also feel like reunions that are taped before the series airs are not able to take into account, like, viewer sentiment. Like, they're not able to be on the pulse of what people are saying right now as we watch the season the weekend it came out, especially since the reunion doesn't come out until December 4th. You know, like, so I'm just like, I don't, it's hard for me to care, especially when, like, they're not going to get into it. They're not going to be asked to, like, stand on business. Ain't nobody holding no feet to the fire. Ain't nobody pulling up the quote. Ain't nobody pulling up the Instagram post. Ain't nobody, like, it just is, like, not, like, I want true investigative journalism. I want investigative journalism in the reunion. Bring out journalists. I need someone to ask follow-up questions. Call me, Hulu. Call me. I'll do it. I'll give the people what they want. Anyway, the reunion airs on December 4th. I guess I'm gonna look at it. I don't know. This season was a doozy. It was a doozy. If you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Are you watching the reunion? What are you hoping to see? If you're familiar with Stassi, give me the tea. What can we expect from her? Let me know all of it down below. I will be back soon next week, and I hope that you all have a phenomenal holiday season. I have so much to be grateful for. I'm grateful for you for watching this. You don't know how much it means to me that people show up and listen to what I have to say. With that, I will bid you adieu. YouTube is going to recommend another video of mine. So if you want to hang out, I'm going to put those right here. If not, and you have to go, that's just fine. All right. I love you. Stay safe. Be well. And I will see you soon. Bye.